Chapter 8. As the willing members of those in human focus awaken to the plight that surrounds them, it is clear to them that the situation is indeed serious and that no amount of physical resistance can change this. It is apparent that something else must be done to bring a change to their future experience on this planet. Through the consideration of the larger picture, it also becomes clear that the lack of understanding of not only the history of their origins, but the lack of a true purpose for existence on this planet has left them bereft and adrift like flotsam on the sea. At the basis of each one's awareness there is a weary wonderment that says to each, why bother? What reason is there that is worth striving for to maintain life in this physical body? Where is this utopia that is promised as a reward for the effort that must be put forth in this human experience? Does it even exist? Is there only a short rest before we begin over again with another life of disappointment and frustration? Why is there such a sense of participating in a spiral of experience that leads to the same old, or even less, each lifetime? There is a song that says the answer is blowing in the wind. The wind of change. There is a point at which the thought patterns mentioned above reach a place within the consciousness that causes a shift. A purpose is sought, not in the world of the five senses that is called reality, but within the awareness. Each, within every lifetime, is called upon to find their purpose, not in the world of effort, but from within the space of awareness that is only found at the center of the awareness that knows itself. This awareness of the self was the gift from the tree of knowledge that the religious soothsayers have spent so much time attempting to teach as a great mistake. This is the gift that lifted humanity out of the animal kingdom and placed them at the edge of the kingdom of those beings that know who and what they are. So who and what are they? Beings that are little, if any, different than what you who is reading this is. They may have greater use of their brain capacity that enables them to know and do things that seem miraculous to those of lesser understanding. However, if you look at the progress made in that area in the past century on this planet, that is of little consequence in the dilemma of knowing who and what you are in the search for this greater acquisition of knowledge. Are these gods that have come and gone from this planet at their will and left you in such awe of their accomplishments that you worship them as all-knowing, really all-knowing? Through the research of the artifacts of past civilizations that are now available and have been studied, catalogued, and conclusions drawn, it is clear to the few that have availed themselves of this knowledge, that humanity has been led down the primrose path. One ideology after another has been thrust upon innocent mankind in their search for their purpose and their origins to keep them in darkness and ignorance. The question is why? What purpose could beings of more intelligence have for deliberately causing their planetary relatives to be misled and their evolutionary progress diverted into a backwater rather than leading them onward and upward into full citizenship and responsibility within the galactic family? Could there be a character flaw within the genetic expression of that particular group of beings? Could that character flaw have been carried on through to those of humanity that have the intermingled blood of those particular apparently superior beings? The expansive flow of the universal energies that underlay the manifestation of potentiality into expression requires that knowledge be experienced into wisdom. There is at the center of all, infinite patience for this to be accomplished within nonlinear expression. This is a concept that the human mind, unless fully activated, has great difficulty in understanding. Within holographic experience, simultaneous interactions are occurring without the limitations of linear, sequential time frames. In other words, what appear to those of less active mind-brain capabilities as experiences happening one after the other are indeed being played out in other experiential formats simultaneously. Thus a picture is being completed with more than one activity going on with no time constraints for beginning or completion, for all is in constant motion with only momentary rest periods of inactivity. These momentary periods of inactivity are those incidents of realization of wisdom acquired through the experiencing of knowledge to points of understanding. Thus wisdom is gained so that the process is continued expansively. The apparent character flaws that have held mankind in a delusional state of false and misleading knowledge that is impossible to experience into wisdom, has been a twofold situation. First, the flaw by the more knowledgeable, self-appointed overlords of this planet who have jealously guarded their perceived superiority, and the flaw of humanity in thinking they are lesser and thus the pawns of these beings. Because ones have less understanding does not make them of less potentiality. It is potentiality that is the measure of worth, and mankind has equal potentiality with any and every other expression of self-awareness. It is in making this realization and demanding the opportunity to self-express into this potentiality that will free mankind on this planet to accomplish this purpose. This demand as a personal decision made within each one's own inner knowingness will bring about the change from victim-slave to sovereign owner of his/her future individually and collectively. It is a rising up from within that will in proper order progress into the reality of known experience for this planet. How long this process will take within the linear time reality that is processed through the human ego, the ability to observe, at this stage of evolution remains to be chosen by humanity itself. Chapter 9. The record of advancement insofar as humanity on this planet is concerned, is a checkerboard of dark and light, or positive and negative experience. As an overall composite from the point of view of a spiral of upliftment, the results are dismal to say the least. Whatever help has been given has been convoluted and shamefully diverted into disinformation. What has been intuited has been hidden or destroyed, and those gifted humans imprisoned or killed. Mankind has been purposefully held in mental, emotional, and spiritual captivity. The age-old question arises as to why God allows this to happen. Here again we face the fallacy of what God has been represented to be. The question is addressed to an outside supreme being that holds power over each individual life expression. It is the transfer of the awe held long ago when beings of apparent superior status brought forth the human in partial likeness of themselves for the purpose of exploiting their physical forms in slavery to an all-knowing superior being that promises benevolence but seldom provides it. In other words, this God with the expected power to control all things, does not now and never has existed. It is the self-awareness attribute that is within each individual that is available to each and every being that has risen above animal status that is available to be harnessed and directed and will provide the benevolence each feels it deserves. Here we face the attribute that allows for exploitation by outside influence. This brings the focus back to the understanding that each has of who and what they are. The self-awareness of each has the ability to choose and decide how to experience their manifested reality. It is the power that either takes them forward into greater experience through wisdom gained or allows them to regress into lesser experiences of slavery and degradation. These are made, not in one great decision, but as a sum total of all the experiences from early childhood onward. Unfortunately, these decisions are greatly influenced by the parent's experience from conception forward. Thus we find each generation saddled with the difficulty of overcoming this influence plus the planned misconceptions that are planted by those pawns of the self-appointed overlords of this planet. Only through recognizing and accepting this dilemma in its true dimensions can those committed members of this human race find a place of equilibrium from which to begin to build a viable understanding of who and what they are. It is necessary to accept that the totality of human status is yet to be attained. It is totally possible to attain the full active status of the human potentiality, but it indeed will require assistance. This assistance, as has been stated before in these lessons, can be made available after a sufficient number of humans on this planet accept the fact that their help must first come from within their own decision process. It is a prerequisite that there must be acceptance that their only rescue is to be found in their own inner resources. Only after this realization may they ask for help from their galactic brothers and sisters. The God so sought by the disillusioned members of humanity as a source of rescue exists only as the composite of all manifested awareness as focused within the confines of each expanding unit of awareness ad infinitum. It is necessary to recognize and decide to become a part of this manifested awareness as a responsible and contributing part of it in order to proceed within its process. At this point, the question of the misuse of humanity by its self-appointed overlords returns to the focus of this discussion. As brought forth within the prior discussion, the laws that allow for potentiality to express into manifested reality so that knowledge can be experienced into wisdom and progress provide the basis for this process. The basic law is the law of attraction. Thus, mankind on planet Earth has been influenced from the beginning to maintain the understanding that knowledge and wisdom come from those of greater and superior knowledge and wisdom. Further, that this knowledge and wisdom is given out to them through adoration and worship of those holding this superior understanding. This has brought an understanding that the humans on this planet exist at the whim of those holding this superior wisdom. As time has passed, this understanding has been manipulated into the belief by humanity that it is vested in an unknowable awareness that has all the attributes as wielded over them by their overlords. These ever-present beings have hidden themselves and operated through this unknowable God, holding humanity hostage not only for the resources of the planet, but as a last experiment in manipulation and literal entertainment. It has previously been referred to as their own virtual reality computer game. Unfortunately, that is more truth than fiction. The collected or mass consciousness of the humans on this planet in accepting this situation as depicted has resulted in the attraction of those who are willing to exploit this total belief system. This is within the action of the universal laws. It will remain so until humanity literally pulls itself out of this situation. LT is the desire of those of your galactic brothers and sisters who are aware of your planetary dilemma that you come into the realization of what is the true situation. There is not an easy way to accomplish this inasmuch as the human belief systems are so deeply ingrained with false information and deceptions. The hope is that the frustrations of enough of humanity have reached a great enough degree for them to begin to accept the possibility that virtually everything they have been taught to understand is inaccurate. The most important new understanding to be accepted is that without personal responsibility to change each person's consciousness with regard to understanding who and what each one is, this situation will not change. The whole of the planetary belief system will change only as its individual members change until a critical mathematical quotient is reached. How long this takes will depend on the spread of this understanding throughout all the groups that are now on this planet. It is the responsibility of those who come into the understanding of this information to disseminate it. Then and only then will the future change. End chapter 9.